Sorry, guys.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is David Cafasso, and welcome to our family store here, Cafasso's Fairway Market in Fort Lee. We've been here for 100 years, and we're very excited to have you all today. I have Councilman Gottheimer right next to me.
Congressman.
Sorry.
By the way, it's fine.
Change it.
I'm here. I'm happy.
All right, great. So now I'd like to turn it over to Assemblywoman Park from the 37th District.
Hello. Because I'm leading the Pledge of Allegiance, so, right? Flag's right behind us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're going to introduce our great commissioner, Tracy Zer.
Thank you so much, Congressman, and thank you guys all for being here today and shining a spotlight on this issue of food security and the cost of our groceries. In Bergen County, we have seen actually a 23% increase in the utilization of our food pantries. Just here in Fort Lee, we have almost 1,300 people who are on SNAP and 24,000 county-wide, and the pressure on our families to put food on the table is something that's so significant in a community where rent and mortgage eat first. We wish we could just wave a magic wand and just declare that grocery prices are going to go down, but this action that the congressman is taking, this legislation that he is putting forward to analyze and to study and to make sure that we can make data-driven decisions on how we can actually deliver eggs. Right now they're over $5 a dozen. Bread's over just under $5 as well. I just want to thank you for really looking at the bread and butter issues for our families here in Bergen County, in the state of New Jersey, and in the entire country, because this legislation is really going to be impactful to give us the answers that we need so that we can map a future and have our families be able to afford the food on their table. Thank you so much, Congressman.
Thank you so much. And next to you, of course, coming in big from not only the building trades, but our great commissioner, Tom Sullivan.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to stand here with the Congressman as he introduces this legislation aimed at lowering grocery prices for the taxpayers in Bergen County. As we all know, families are feeling the pressure of the rising food costs that the grocery hits, and we're taking a bigger bite out of the household budgets. And this is a challenge that we cannot ignore. Congressman Gottheimer's leadership on this issue is crucial, and I'm proud to support his efforts that will directly help reduce financial stress for the hardworking people of Bergen County. One key area that needs attention is the meat industry. For too long, a small number of large corporations have dominated the sector, thus limiting competition and driving up prices. By increasing competition in the meat industry, we can lower prices while also creating jobs. More competition means more choices for consumers in a more dynamic market that benefits everyone. This legislation is a step in the right direction, and it's an example of the kind of action that we need to ensure that the American dream is within reach for everybody. Unlike those on the right who will continue to fight the policies that sees the financial burden on the working families and create a thriving, fair economy, Congressman Gottheimer fights for everybody, not just the special interests. So, Josh, thank you again for your leadership, and I look forward to seeing the positive effects of this bill. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Excellent. I do want to make sure everyone knows our great mayor, Mark Sokolich, is here. Mayor, thank you so much for always having us in the community. And we're very lucky now, our great state senator, Gordon Johnson, is here. And I know he's going to be joined by our Assemblywoman.
Yeah, where's Ellen? Over here, yeah. Good morning, everyone. And
morning.
I'm grateful to be standing here with my congressman to discuss a pressing issue impacting our pocketbooks and our day-to-day lives of our families who live here in the 37th District, in the county of Bergen, and throughout this great state. I want to express my gratitude to Congressman Josh Gottheimer for offering tangible solutions to our grocery affordability crisis, which residents here have been grappling with since COVID. Food prices continue to rise, and it's hurting the middle class and having a definite impact on our lower income communities. Their paychecks simply don't go as far as they used to, and they're struggling to put food on the table. So, Congressman, it's because of your leadership. You're fighting for the people that you represent, not just in your district, but throughout this state and throughout this country. You have been a leader, a champion, and being there for us, representing us, fighting for us, and this legislation will be helpful to all of us because it's our food banks are concerned that demand is going to outstrip the supply. So it's a definite issue that this has to be addressed. We're so thankful that you are here to do that. And I'll leave this to you, sir.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much, Senator.
Well said. Oh, sorry.
Exactly. Thank you all for being here today. Mayor, you got anything to add, or you got it?
Everybody said it. Thank you for
Okay,
being here.
of course. Before I get into talking about higher food prices, I just want to take a moment to recognize today as Holocaust Remembrance Day, the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. So in addition to getting prices down, I do want to say I'm also introducing legislation called the HEAL Act to teach future generations about the Holocaust and help ensure that never again is not just a slogan, but a reality. And that's legislation we're introducing. I do want to also thank Cafassos and Dave for having us out. It's not the first time we've been to the Fairway Market here for hosting us, and not just in Fort Lee, but just being a great leader in the community. It's something the mayor talks about a lot of our great small businesses like this one, been here nearly a century helping families. And this is all about helping families. Dave and I were just talking about the fact that if he can get food right now, right, if he can even get it, how expensive he's being charged by his suppliers, which of course affects the prices for families. So we're here today as part of my affordability agenda for Jersey to talk about steps we're taking to make life more affordable for families in our great state. And right now, for many here in our state, the cost of food is at the top of the list of what they need to get where they need to get prices down. Right? We have a real affordability crisis when it comes to the cost of food, both in our grocery stores, what's affecting our restaurants. It's really hurting our families. So standing here in the egg aisle, you could see what I'm talking about, right? We're next to eggs. If you need a reason to believe prices are too high, here's a dozen eggs, right? Egg prices are up 37% from a year ago, 37%. The average price was $2.51 a year ago. And in the New York metro area, Jersey and New York and Connecticut, if stores can get eggs at all, right now, the average price is $6.72 for a dozen. $2.51 to $6.72, right? Beef prices since 2024 have increased by more than 10% compared to a year ago. So beef is up more than 10%. Egg prices are up massively. You can see why families are struggling with the high price of food and why we're here today to talk about steps we can take to give them relief and to help make life more affordable for them. In just 1 month, from this past November to December, the price of bacon and breakfast sausage rose 2%, right? That's just in 1 month. Families are now spending 11% of their income on food. It's the highest percentage in 3 decades, right? So you could see why families are really struggling. It's become increasingly expensive for our local markets like this one to serve our communities, again, because what they're being charged, and Dave was just telling me, right? If you can even get eggs in the first place, what they're charging you compared to what you paid before, right? So that's what you're dealing with here. You got no choice, right? Because it's just they're charging you more money, and so are the meat producers, raising costs for our families to buy these groceries and eat out at local diners, whereas, you know, people order plenty of eggs. So what's going on? A couple big things. When it comes to meat prices, the 4 largest meat producers and processors in the country control 85% of the market. Again, there's 4 of them, the big 4. They control 85% of the meat processing. These are not the cattle ranchers who raise the cattle. These are the processors, right? That's what we're talking about here. So there's very little competition. And you know what happens when there's no competition? They get to control the prices and the prices go up. There's just not enough meat distributors and processors to drive competition and bring prices down. The Agriculture Department said that just this month that expects higher pork prices and beef prices in 2025 as meat packers further cut back on production and processing. When large meat distributors scheme and jack up the cost on our local markets, they really stick it to our local businesses and our families. That's what happens here at our local grocers, and of course, it's what happens to our families. This is not the ranchers. Let me be very clear. It's the packers. I'm a capitalist, right? One of my core views of any capitalist is competition. These guys, these four who control 85% of the market, are monopolists, right? And what they do when they corner the market is that prices go up. It's unacceptable. So what do we do about it? I'll talk about that in a second. Second, though, when it comes to eggs, we're dealing with a massive outbreak of bird flu. I'm sure you've read about this, which has killed more than 136 million birds just in the last 9 months, right? 30 million in the last 3 months. So when you kill a massive amount of birds or they're infected, right, what do you think that does? It drives down the egg production, far fewer eggs. That's why David can't get eggs, or when they get here, they're so expensive. That's roughly, by the way, 10% of the nation's egg-laying population gone in the last 90 days alone. Think about that. 10% wiped out of the egg-producing chicken population. This disease slammed the brakes on production, creating supply shortages that will only continue to send the costs of eggs even higher. Yet, as this is happening, and this is part of my concern, President Trump has ordered the CDC, the Center for Disease Prevention and Control, to stop all communication about the bird flu. So any communication about why eggs are higher, talking and coordinating among agencies, among local government, among grocers, was ordered to stop immediately, despite the fact that 10% of all egg production has been shut off because of how many chickens are dying. So what do? How do we solve this problem? First, we need to stop any meat or poultry companies that have or continue to collude, jacking up their prices and ripping off hardworking middle-class families in Jersey around the country. We got to stop this practice. I'll be introducing new legislation called the Meat and Poultry Special Investigator Act that will direct the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, to appoint a special investigator to strictly enforce price-fixing laws for the meatpacking industry and do everything they can to encourage new meat producers to enter the market. You can't have 4 meat producers controlling 85% of the market, cornering the market and setting prices and jacking up meat prices. It's crushing middle-class families who just want to be able to feed their families. We need more competition to get the prices down. We need to make sure the U.S. Department of Agriculture is enforcing anti-competitive laws when it comes to meat. This will create much-needed competition in the meat and poultry space, strengthen the food supply chain, get prices down, and help our families. Second, I'll be introducing the Lower Grocery Prices Act. This bill will require the U.S. Government Accountability Office to create a comprehensive national plan to combat high prices and deliver critical relief to families struggling with everyday expenses. We got to understand what's going on here. We need to understand all the pieces. Supply chain issues, as David was talking about. What's going on with everything in the meat packing side? What's going on with eggs? What's going on across grocery stores where we know there's higher prices? And I know our grocers are doing everything they can to deliver lower prices for our families, but they buy from suppliers, right? They got to buy from people, and that's where we know the prices are going up. Third, as we've been dealing with higher prices from the bird flu, I've not only been laser focused on ensuring our food is affordable for families, but also safe for our children, right? And that's critically important, safe for our children, our moms and dads, and all of our families. That's why I'm writing to President Trump, urging him to reverse his decision to pause all communication to the CDC on the recent bird flu contamination that we know is not only driving prices up, but also affecting tens of millions of chickens across our country. If we want to contain the bird flu outbreak, protect our families, and lower food costs, our federal agencies need to be able to talk to each other and be able to communicate with all levels of government, with grocers, with families, and get the message out about what's going on and help contain this outbreak. Cutting off communication just does the exact opposite. Last point, from restoring the state and local tax deduction, which we're focused on, to lowering the cost of child care, or clawing more of our dollars from Washington back to Jersey. I will always fight along with my phenomenal colleagues here, whether the commissioners in the Assembly, the Senate in New Jersey, our mayor, and our councils here to do everything we can to help lower prices and make life more affordable for our families and our small businesses. As we've done for years now, we'll work with anyone to get it done as long as it's good for Jersey and lives up to our values. We passed out of the House the Lower Food and Fuel Cost Act in 2022, legislation to tackle rising food and gas prices to address supply chain crisis then. We can take this on in the same way and solve this problem if we work together to deal with higher costs at the kitchen table. We can't let higher costs just pull up a seat at the kitchen table in our communities and steal from our families. It's hurting our families. It's hurting our food banks, as Tracy and Gordon talked about. We know that we've got more people who can't afford food who are coming into our communities, to our food banks, and asking for help. We know that. Why? Because prices are too high. They've just gone higher. We got to help our families and do everything we can. If we work together, we can solve this problem here in the greatest country in the world. Our best days, I know, will always be ahead. Thanks so much, and God bless.